during my journey, and I will tell you about what happened in a few minutes, but I was always looking for the answer. Somebody give me, like, how do I be resilient? And maybe you've had this happen too, where people give you cliches. Tell me if you know these ones. Time heals all wounds. Bullshit. There are some things that time does not heal. And in fact, I think time just makes it easier to deal with the suckage. You know, like my dad died at the beginning of my decade of hell. I'm never getting over that. Now, do you know those days where you just feel like being on the couch? It was 5 days after the 5th funeral. And I was having one of those days. But I am a business owner, and what do I have to do? I teach networking, I teach sales. I'm going to go to this sales meeting with 2 bigwigs from an investment firm because I've got to earn a living. I've got to sell. It doesn't matter that everything is falling apart in my life. So I show up to the London Club, and I am in this dinner, and the 2 gentlemen beside me. And if you've ever been in a sales meeting to get a contract to teach networking, connection, and sales with prospects, and the 2 people you're trying to sell to start having a conversation without you because you are that out of the loop, and like that, you know, just, I was not a very interesting lunch partner, I'll be honest. And so at one point the guy says to me, he says, so Allison, he said, you know, what do you do in your spare time? And you know how there's this conversation that you're having in the back of your head, and then there's the one that you actually give? And I'm thinking, here's my moment. I can save this deal. Because I've got answers. I mean, I like to downhill ski, I like politics, I like connections, I like economic development, volunteering, you name it, I've got answers. What do I say? I like to watch TV. But that was a turning point. I lost a contract that could have been 6 figures. There was just too much, and I knew powering through was no longer the answer. So I'm a business consultant, right? I put on my business consultant hat. And I said, what are the obstacles that I'm facing? How can I deal with this? So one of my biggest challenges is that I was really fortunate to be working with a lot of the national banks and investment companies, and I would have to come in to do a training day up in Toronto, and I live in London, Ontario. And driving for me for years until I got my pain under control was next to impossible. And so what did I do? Like any grown, independent woman might do, I called my mom. And I said, listen, I know you're loving retirement and you're still healing from, dad's passing, but wouldn't you love to just not do any of that anymore and come and live with me and hang out, and oh, by the way, you can drive me to all my gigs and be my chauffeur? And God bless her, she said yes. And I decided, okay, let me go back to that time when I was in the thick of everything and do what they call a stress test. Has anybody ever done a stress test? Essentially what it is you go online and you choose, there are a whole bunch of things that could be going wrong in your life, and each has a numerical value for how stressful it actually is. Makes sense. So I went through and I looked at everything that had been going on, and I scored 734. And you think, what does that mean? Well, the legend said, if you have a score over 330, seek professional help immediately. And so what bugs me about this is that everything is related to stress. The challenge with that is not everything is stress. In actual fact, we have a continuum of challenges, and we need different tools with each and every one of these challenges in order to be able to process them and overcome. So we have stress, we have obstacles, and adversity. I want to take you on a journey of what these mean in your life and how you may need to have different tools in order to overcome them as they come up in different parts of your life. Who's ever felt stressed out? Is there one person who wants to be like, no, I got this? So interesting, and you may not actually like what I'm about to tell you on this one, but the truth is, stress is self-induced. It is your expectation to do too much with too little time with too few resources. You've not said no enough. You've not set your boundaries. You've wasted your time. Somehow, somewhere, you've managed to get a to-do list that is never going to end. And by the way, just so you know, a to-do list never ends. I think sometimes we get caught up in this expectation that one day it's done. And it isn't. It's like, it actually is a to-do circle. And as soon as we just accept that, we can move on and, stop saying, oh my God, I'm so busy. So here are some synonyms for it: pressure, tension, worry, anxiety, hassle, demand, strain. I can give you tools on how to alleviate these. Next, we have obstacles. Now, obstacles can be internally driven, or they can come from an external source. But the reason I love obstacles is because we can deal with them. Barrier, hurdle, block, snag, deterrent, disadvantage, hindrance, complication. Next, we have adversity. True adversity is a catastrophic situation that's coming from an external force and you have absolutely no control over it. Look at these words and how different it is. Misfortune, hardship, disaster, suffering, misery, trauma, crisis, catastrophe, burden. So when we deal with adversity, and that's why when people say bounce back, these things are never, you can't go back to the way they were before it happened. So here's the thing that is interesting about stress, obstacles, adversity, and the continuum of challenge. When we are stressed out and we don't know how to deal with that, it will ultimately create obstacles. If we do not know how to deal with our obstacles, it will ultimately create adversity. But it goes the other way too. So for every adversity that you have, obstacles will come from it. We actually do this in society. We exaggerate our stress. Oh my gosh, I'm so busy. Oh, me too. Badge of honor, good on you. You're keeping up. And we're like proud of this. Like, why are we proud that we're busy? I don't get it. But listen to conversations. How are you? Busy. What's keeping you busy? Work. Oh, kids, me too. And then, hey, we should do lunch. People say earlier they don't like networking. No wonder. That's the conversation we're having when we're networking. I like the delayed reaction because you're like, yep, I just had it.